I want to represent me, where I'm from, my culture, my people, tell the story of my parents, and like have other people that look like me that are going to go through the same things that I went through, especially in this space, and have them be able to see and know that like, yeah, somebody does care, and like this is important, and we do deserve to be at that table.
Steven Mena, how's it going?
I'm good.
Pleasure to be here, for sure. So me, being an Orange County native, I grew up in Costa Mesa. What was your upbringing like? You went to Maywood, I believe. How was that?
So I grew up in Huntington Park, Maywood, Bell area. I typically kind of like talk about all three because in the area that I grew up in, Huntington Park, it's literally 1 block away from Maywood and then like 1 block away from Bell. So I was around like all 3 cities. So I really heavily claim like Southeast Los Angeles. But obviously I'm proud of HP, Maywood, and Bell as well.
How did that influence you growing up?
I didn't realize at the time how much it influenced me, but now that I'm older and now that I'm pursuing like a career and I'm doing something in, you know, streetwear and fashion, it's pretty much dictated and influenced almost every decision that I've made in what I do. Just because I feel like where I'm from, not a lot of people come out of there, especially in the creative field. So I just try to shine a light on that any way that I can, right? And I'm extremely proud of my roots. I'm extremely proud of my community in Southeast Los Angeles. And yeah, I just always claim it. I'm always talking about it. I'm always trying to do something to like bring a spotlight or, you know, supporting people that are coming out from there. So it's influenced me a bunch, to be honest with you. And I think it's gonna continue to influence me. It's one of those things that I'm probably gonna carry with me for the rest of my life, you know, just where I'm from and how I grew up. And yeah, I think that's the easiest way that I can put it. I didn't realize it growing up how much it had influenced me, but now that I'm here and I look back, I don't think I would be who I am today had I not came from there.
Yeah, it's more of like retrospective kind of. Growing up, did your parents have like a big impact on your life growing up? How did they impact your growth?
Yeah, no, for sure. My parents have easily been the most influential people in my life. My parents are immigrants. So, you know, their story is a story that I think about and I carry with me everywhere that I go. I mean, you're in this office right now. We have all the Latin American flags and, you know, I'm really proud of that. My parents specifically are Nicaraguan and Salvadorian, right? So their story and their sacrifice for me has played a huge role in my life, right? Everything that I do is to honor them. Everything that I'm trying to build is to make them proud. And hopefully, you know, like my goal one day is like, I want to buy them a house and I want to help them retire and stuff like that, right? So that's a huge goal for me. and that's pretty much everything that I'm doing this for. I think if I'm able to do that, I will be happy. If it all goes to shit after that, like I wouldn't care because I did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my parents are the biggest influence in my life. I think that sacrifice is one that I don't take lightly, and I try to honor it every single day. My parents' story, I mean, it started in El Salvador and Nicaragua, specifically for my mom in El Salvador. She and her family had to flee due to the war, and I unfortunately never met my grandpa. My mom's dad, he was murdered in the Civil War. So you can see immediately how that like uprooted their life and completely changed the trajectory of consequentially my life. So yeah, I mean, I think about stuff like that. I think about my dad. My dad literally almost died in his trip to America. Was probably, if a soldier just made a decision to check a card, he probably literally wouldn't be here.
Oh my gosh.
So, you know, just stuff like that like nothing that I do, I feel like will ever compare to that kind of like sacrifice and that kind of just, I guess, bravery and I guess conviction to like want a better life, you know, and want to do something for somebody else. For me, it's probably one of the most selfless things anybody could ever do in this world for their kids, right? It's to want a better life for them. So I honor that every single day. And everything that I do is to, you know, do something impactful and help my parents and like almost repay that to them, because I literally wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. So you wouldn't be talking to me. Like Menace wouldn't exist if that, you know what I mean? So
absolutely,
that's their impact on me.
Yeah, I'm sure that like kind of journey has also impacted your drive for sure. And like how much effort you put into the brand.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, in life, period, I think I'm really empathetic towards just people and like what goes on in this world, and I'm very aware. Sometimes maybe I feel like a little too aware of things, and you know, I wish I didn't think about certain things, but yeah, I don't know. The fact that I wake up and I get to have a job in creativity and like get to do something is a blessing. There's kids in this world that are like getting bombed literally as we speak. You know what I mean? Like this shit is nothing. Like what we're doing right now is like, it's a privilege, it's a luxury, it's somebody's dream. So like I wake up with that knowledge every single day, and in particular with like my parents, how that hits so close to home. It's like my parents grew up in like horrible conditions, you know what I mean? Like with war and like you know, stuff like that. That's just like, bro, like what you do here in LA is like a walk in the park. Like you just get up and do the work. So I think that's motivated my drive, because if like they were able to do that, if they were able to take this journey or make that sacrifice for me, then I should be able to make this sacrifice for myself, right? And also for them, and you know, just trying to be the best that I can be in what I do, because realistically, like it fails in comparison to like what that was for my parents or just for what goes on in this world. So I live with that knowledge, and I don't ever like take what I do lightly in that sense. And it's kind of what I mean when I say like maybe I'm sometimes I think a little too much, but it's just how I am. I don't forget what this is and like what real life is for some people, you know what I mean? So like I try to move like that and just get the work done, because it's easy in comparison.
Yeah, on the broader scale.
Yeah.
When did you like sort of develop the entrepreneurial mindset? When did that come to light?
Without even knowing, I feel like I've always been just kind of like a very proactive person and like wanting to get stuff done or like wanting to just like chase after things. But I feel like it really just came about when I graduated high school. I was working 2 jobs, and I was working at Paxton and Subway. I freaking missed Subway, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was fun, it was easy. I used to eat for free all the time. But yeah, I was working at Paxton and Subway, 2 jobs. And I feel like that summer I was about to go to college, and I don't know, something just like happened, something just clicked, and I was working a lot differently. And yeah, I mean, I started Menace. I read a book literally overnight. First and last time I've ever done that. Read a book in one sitting, and the book was called How to Launch a Kick-Ass T-Shirt Brand, because I wanted to launch Menace. So I read that overnight, and then yeah, like the next day Menace was born, and the rest is history, as they would say. I took $500 from those 2 jobs that I was working, printed 3 shirts, 3 different designs. One of them is actually over there. That's my first ever design. Made like 12, probably sold it to friends and family. I don't know, right? Out of my mom's trunk. I didn't even have a car at the time. It was my mom's trunk. And that's how the story went. I just sold it, flipped it, put it back in, so on and so forth. And here we are today.
We'll definitely be checking out that design.
Bro, it looks like something you would make in a Call of Duty. Remember Black Ops?
Oh, the custom emblems?
Yeah, bro, it literally looks like something like that. Probably could have made it in there. I'm not even joking.
Did you get some inspiration from that at all, or no?
I don't know, bro. But when
just happened.
When people look at it, that's what they always like refer to. I'm like, oh, it's like a Call of Duty client. Bro.
Are there any specific t-shirts, brands, or anything that kind of influenced your brand, starting your brand, or like made you really want to dive into starting a t-shirt brand?
For sure, some of the biggest inspirations when I was first starting out, which was like 11 years ago actually. I don't know if you guys remember this brand. It's called Classic, CLSC. You guys know who Joshua Vides is, right? He's the guy, he does, the stuff will be like white and he outlines in black the like edges. So he used to have a brand called CLSC. I've told him this personally to his face, so I don't mind saying it on this camera. But yeah, he used to inspire me a lot. I used to love CLSC. I used to love, like, I've always loved Fucked. Fucked is easily probably one of my favorite brands ever in like the history. Fucked, CLSC, Born and Raised for sure was like a huge inspiration to me. Spanto, rest in peace. I've always liked Born and Raised from the jump, because I think we started around the same time. Fresh Jive was cool too. I really like old school, kind of like traditional streetwear, right? And like, I feel like that's evolved so much over time. Hall of Fame was another cool brand. Obviously, I like the Hundreds. I really have a lot of respect for Bobby and Ben, what they've built. I like FTP too, you know, to this day. Some of my peers now, I'm like fans of, and I was fans of then, right? Some people that started then and aren't around anymore, like still, you know, really grateful that I was able to like experience that, because it definitely influenced me.
Pulling influence from all
definitely
over.
Yeah, you know, like I just pull influence from like everybody that came before me, everybody that's around now, probably the people that are coming up right now. I'm really like, I just always try to stay tapped into like what's going on, and I'm just a fan at the end of the day. I don't really feel like, I understand the competition that comes with streetwear, and I understand how, you know, people maybe like you, maybe don't, or like are fans or not, stuff like that. But ultimately, man, I'm just like a consumer. I'm a fan of like streetwear as a genre, and it's just really cool to see like what's going on for sure.
Tell me about your first couple designs. You briefly went over like the Call of Duty emblem. What were some of the other first? You said it was 3 designs.
Yeah, it was
first
3.
drop?
It was there was one that said Menace on the front, and then it said a big ass number 2 on the back, and then Society on the bottom. So it was like Menace to Society, right?
That's hard.
Then there was another one that was like an angel clip art, like black and white clip art, right? An angel, and then I put like a bandana over the angel, and it just said Menace. Bro, like stuff that would it wouldn't hold up today at all. But at the time, that's what it was. And then there was the ski mask, the Call of Duty resembling one, right? That one, it even resembles like Rogue Status too. That one was like just like a ski mask, but made out of a collage of like different silhouettes of guns. So those are like the first 3 graphics. And then it just kind of progressed over that. And interestingly enough, like in the middle of the brand, I kind of stopped focusing on graphic t-shirts, and I was way more focused on cut and sew items. systems. That's why a lot of the stuff that surrounds us is like the cut and sew, right? It really hasn't been until like this year that I had heard it enough from like James friends, like my friends, just random, you know, supporters, like, yo, we miss your tees, like, what's up with your tees? You were wearing half evil, right? Like, I talked to George pretty frequently. Same thing, like, bro, drop, you need to drop, right? That's something he'd always tell me. And I just started focusing on t-shirts, and like the last 30 days, I've probably literally designed like 30 t-shirts. We just had a release on October 10th, which was basically a 10 t-shirt drop celebrating Latin Heritage Month and also like our 11-year anniversary, kind of.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then we had a release on October 25th, this was a shock drop too. Like, I just woke up one day and I was like, I'm gonna design some shirts about the World Series. And maybe you need to bleep that out because I don't want to get sued. I don't want this to be used as evidence, but redacted. But yeah, I just woke up on like Friday before it started, and then on Monday I finished up like the designs and we dropped them on the following Friday, which was this just Friday that just happened. So yeah, I'm like kind of getting back into t-shirts. I'm actually wearing our new blank right now.
Oh, nice.
It's literally my favorite blank on the market, and it's ours and I'm proud of it. So I'm diving right back into like t-shirts now. 11 years later, after, I don't want to say like we never focused on shirts, but it definitely like cut and sew took priority for the last couple of years.
It's kind of typical in like a fashion cycle, you know, trends come and then they come back, especially when it's your own brand, you know, you kind of want to return back to the basics.
I feel like t-shirts, they're just not a trend. I feel like t-shirts are here forever. I honestly compare t-shirts to like a good morning cup of coffee or like a good journal entry. I love a t-shirt, bro. I will buy shirts that don't even fit me just because I like the graphic and I just have it. And I like stare at it and get inspiration, and then like it just sits in my closet. Bro, I love t-shirts. There's boxes and boxes. I mean, I have a bunch of shirts right here. There's like 2 boxes in the back just filled with samples or like just shirts that we have. So yeah, to that point of like trends and stuff, I don't look at it as a trend. I honestly just feel like when you talk about streetwear, the simple t-shirt is still gonna be king, like no matter what. I think even from like a business perspective, for a lot of brands, t-shirts and hoodies are really what uphold everything else, right? Like when you think about like Fear of God and Essentials, like yeah, Fear of God is Americana luxury, right? You have all these crazy pieces, wormwood pieces, but what do you know them for? You know them for Essentials hoodies and you know the cozy stuff or the t-shirts. So I feel like that's just gonna be here forever. I think that's what makes streetwear and what makes luxury fashion luxury. Luxury fashion doesn't focus on t-shirts and like the basic soft goods. Focus on crazy runway, couture, like stuff like that, right? Streetwear is just like, at the end of the day, man, all this cut and sew shit is cool, but bro, I just want a tee. Give me my tee and like I'm straight. So
that's not $80, right?
Yeah, literally, you know. So, and even then, nowadays I feel like brands are, I mean, we're in a different economy, we're in a different world now, so like I feel like prices are just rising. Yeah. So an $80 shirt, bro, like that used to be like blasphemy. Now it's almost, all right, yeah, what do you expect?
Kind of going back to that first drop, I'm curious, like, how did you start editing? What was the first software that you used, you know, to design those shirts?
So for me, it was Illustrator and Photoshop. My older brother, Freddie, he's the one that introduced that to me. But then I used to just like tinker around with it and make graphics. And I used to play video games a lot when I was a kid, like in middle school. So I would sell people that like friends online, like graphics to them for, it used to be called like Microsoft points, but they were worth like 20 bucks. Wow. But you could buy a bunch of stuff on the Xbox, like marketplace and stuff with that. And yeah, they would send me like a code for 1,600 Microsoft points and I would be like, cool, here's the graphic. And that's how I got started, literally. That's how I learned. And the old stuff was like, man, I wish I had access to like a photo bucket account, because I know like those graphics are in there, but dude, it's horrible.
That's the entrepreneurial mindset right there. That's how you got into it yourself, Microsoft points.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've always kind of had it, but I don't know, bro. I just wanted to buy like skins or something. Yeah. Like, at the time I was a kid, like that's kind of how I initially got started on like learning Photoshop and Illustrator. Yeah, and then I just grew up and carried that skill with me. And it's been, honestly, over the last 30 days, I told you I like revisited like designing t-shirts at a crazy rate. It's been so like fun and interesting to like, I don't want to say I'm not relearning anything. It's just like I'm brushing up on this skill and like it's getting easier as like every day. I mean, James will tell you, well, literally like that Monday, bro, I think we pumped out literally like 15 designs.
Damn.
Like, and that's what dropped.
Wow.
So yeah, like that's what I like about a shirt, man. It's very like, it's an emotional process for me to make a shirt. sometimes it really is just like, this is cool. Like I'm not even second guessing this, right? Like I don't care, it's cool, I'm gonna put it out. But a lot of times it really is like, I just get into like a different state and like it just comes out. Like we did this shirt, industries that would crumble without undocumented labor. That post went up at 1 p.m. At 6 a.m. that morning, that idea didn't even exist because I woke up at 9 and I just put like, bro, it was like I went in the booth. Like I just put something down on Photoshop and that's what it was at 9 a.m. I had it printed by like 11:30, shot the photo on my iPhone, edited it up, posted it by 1. And like that happened within like a 6-hour span. It literally didn't exist before I woke up. And the reason that happened was because I looked at the drop and I looked at like what we were gonna post and I was like, something's missing. Like something is just not here. And like, I asked myself like why a lot, right? Like, why are you doing this? Like, what's the purpose of like this piece or like this garment or like this idea or this story that you want to tell? Like, why? I asked that question about the drop and I didn't come up with an answer that I really liked. So I was like, yeah, like say something meaningful, do something meaningful. Like if you're gonna represent Latinos and like do something to represent your heritage and your culture, say something with your chest, something that you feel. And like, that's what I really feel. I feel like this whole topic of like undocumented immigrants and, you know, illegal aliens and stuff like that, whatever you call them, I call them people, right? Like, which I feel like that topic is very divisive and I wanted to just speak on that. And like I said, it was like a good journal entry. It's like I just went in and wrote something down and that's what came out.
Yeah, you just put it out.
Yeah, without thinking about it too. I think that's been an issue for us before is I'll like scrutinize. I'm my biggest critic. So like my cut and sew stuff, I'll scrutinize it. Like, oh, we gotta make another sample, right? Like that jacket behind you, we have literally 6 other samples behind that. Yeah. So if I do that for a shirt, like I'm never putting something out. Yeah. And so I'm just learning to like have fun, let go and let God kind of thinking, right? Like just do it.
Love that. How did your first drop go? How did you market it? You know, how did you really get it out there, get the word out, and how were the results? What did you learn from that?
Yeah, I don't really remember, but I know I printed stuff. My brother supported me. I have 2, I'm the youngest, Jairo and Freddie. Freddie's the middle, Jairo's the oldest. Both of them supported it. My family supported it. And then I probably like sold maybe, I don't know, bro, to like just homies. Like, I remember I would have to like bag the clothes and I didn't have size stickers yet. I didn't really know where to get them. So my dad, he works in asbestos removal. So he has like a work van with a bunch of just random tools. And he gave me this like super heavy duty red tape. And at the time, Yeezus was out, the Kanye album. You know how he has that red tape going over, like that red little tab. So I had this red tape and I would like rip out a piece and put it on and just write in like the size it was. And for some reason, I always think about Yeezus with that because I remember at the time people would be like, oh, like the Yeezus approach or like Yeezy because of the red freaking tab. I was like, nah, dude, it's just the only tape my dad had because it's fucking industrial tape. Bro, but yeah, that's how it worked. It wasn't even carpenter's tape. It was like, it would ruin the bag if you like try to open it. But yeah, I don't, from a financial standpoint, I don't even know, man. I don't know how it did. Clearly it did good. I'm here, so it did something. I made my money back. That's all that mattered at the time, really. Like profit was, I don't even know if I was thinking like that. I was just like, I'm making some shirts. Yeah. Buy them.
Sometimes ignorance is the best way to go about it, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, I look at like people and kids that like are starting brands now. Like I have my friend DJ who has like a little brother and he'll be working at like 5, 6 a.m. Literally every day on his brand. And in my head, I'm just like, I wish I could still do that. Like, I wish I could still stay up that late and work. But it's just like fun because I see that and I see like other people and I'm just like, yeah, I remember that. I remember that stage and I remember like being that like hungry and ambitious. And it's not to say that I'm not, but you know, there's a quote that I've heard. I think my homie Billy told me, it's like, it's hard to be a savage if you're sleeping on silk sheets.
Wow.
And I believe in that, man. And like sometimes you gotta just remind yourself that like, although you've kind of come far, there's still so much to go. And like the world is really big, especially in like fashion and streetwear, right? You travel to another like cultural hub like a New York or Japan, you'll very quickly realize like you got a lot of work to do and like, nobody knows who you are. And like you think your decisions are like really important, but bro, nobody on this side of the world even clocks who you are. Like I've never even heard of whatever your brand name is. So I miss kind of like that. This all came up because you said, you know, ignorance is bliss. Yeah, sometimes like the innocence that comes with ignorance is, you know, just reminiscing on that is like fun and, you know, before this became like a business and things like that. But I'm having a lot of fun with it still, so I feel like I'm fortunate in that way.
Diving into that kind of turning it into a business mindset, how did you learn how to do that? You know, how did you kind of get into that process of turning it from just printing t-shirts into like, this is really a business, I need to set up an LLC, I need to get all that going?
I've made a lot of mistakes. I can't even look you straight in the face and say that I know what I'm doing. Like, I want to say that because I think a lot of people that like are probably gonna watch this business think that we have it all figured out and that everything runs like clockwork, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, that just is not the reality of like running a fashion brand, a streetwear brand. You know, you learn as you go. And I think for me, I've had to learn, and I'm still learning a lot of things right now at this stage. And, you know, I'm 11 years in, so, but that's not to say that I don't necessarily, you know what I mean? Like, obviously I know a little bit, so I'll speak on that. And I think like how I learned is really just trying, really just going for it and doing things, right? You talk about like turning it into an LLC and like maybe getting lawyers and accountants and things like that. That stuff, I think as a person, you just kind of gotta be proactive and like learn about it on your own and do your due diligence and study the game, right? There's plenty of people that have came before me, that have came before the people that I looked up to, that have given game. Like, you just gotta look for it, you gotta listen, you gotta work for it too. You can't just expect all these answers and all of the solutions to fall on your plate. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. Clearly, it's not. So you gotta just be proactive and like learn about this stuff on your own. And what I would do, and I talk back on how I like see some of the younger kids right now, like how they're so hungry and like every day they're posting it, they're on the laptop, 6 a.m. That was me. That used to be me. I used to stay up every single day. I used to be on YouTube. I used to read a lot more than I do now, but used to, you know, just study like how do I do certain things, where do I find factories, and Google and YouTube were like my best friends, right? And in this office right now I have a big old painting of Kobe. I have like Kobe, like a Kobe, you know, La Velorio. And like, as corny or cheesy as this may sound, like that was a big influence for me in my life. Like the whole like Mamba mentality, or the approach, and like just wanting to be a better person, wanting to get better about like my work. Like I really implemented that, and I'm sure a lot of people in this world, right, can attest to that. I think anybody that's built something can attest to, like, it takes a lot of sacrifice and it takes a lot of work. And you know, it always for me, I think about Virgil a lot too, right? Like it always fascinated me how like one person could have like 30 different projects at like one time, and like every day would be posting something new, and like it just blew my mind, because I was like, bro, I'm working on one and I can't. Like, you're working on 30, and granted there's like a lot of people involved in that process, but still, even as like I've stepped into a more director role, right, it's still hard, even if you have help, to work on multiple projects. It's still like a lot of work on the mind. So yeah, I don't know, I see things like that, and you can't say that somebody that's trying to build something is lazy in doing it. Like, it's just impossible. You can't be lazy. You have to work, and you just have to put it in, and like you have to make your bones, and that's just the reality of it. You'll notice, and I say this as somebody that reached finally that milestone, you'll notice 10 years from now who really put in the work and who didn't. And the only true measurement of that for me is time. And I think time weeds everything out, and it shows you who's not really working. It shows you who's really just talking about it and who's actually doing it. So just be proactive, learn about the things that you want to learn, ask the right questions, reach out to people. I tell people all the time, like, you can reach out to me. Like, I respond to all my DMs. I've never, ever, literally in the history of this entire brand, like, I've never not, you know, tried my best to respond to everybody. And yeah, I just think those are like great tips for building something, is be proactive, do the work, and seek out mentors, and like just learn about what you want to learn. At the end of the day, I think people are happy to like share this knowledge for the most part. A lot of people aren't, but a lot of people are too.
I love how you speak on time, because it's just it's very valuable, you know. And wasting your time could just, like you said, you know, it's the biggest factor. That's when you really realize, you know, who spent those 10 years wasting their time versus actually investing it. What was your first big Menace L?
My first like real L that I was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. I did a shirt and I listed a bunch of city names, and I misspelled the word Phoenix for Phoenix, Arizona. And that shit was like, bro, less than an inch, just how like the actual screen print, but I had printed like, I don't know, maybe 200 or something like that. So I had an option, and I say it's an L because it came out of, I basically lost money, but I had an option: reprint the entire graphic, or like remove the little Phoenix and then print it again to like make it spelled correctly. And we went with that option. We lost money, lost a bunch of time. I learned a valuable lesson in like copywriting and like proofreading your work. I clearly didn't learn, because just on October 10th that we did a release, that shirt that I told you I designed at 9 a.m., the industries that would crumble, one of the last industries that I wrote in the graphic, I misspelled the word accessory, and I uploaded it like that, and I was like, fuck, damn. Ooh. Now, like, luckily, like, we didn't print like the full production yet, so I was able to fix it, but like, I uploaded a picture with like the word wrong. It's like in your face. It's probably the first word you see, because it's in the bottom left corner closest to the screen. That was an L, right? Probably not like a dramatic ass L, but it was an L for sure.
Yeah. Going back, right? Brand starts. How did your designs mold into the current Menace brand that we know? You know, when did you start to really develop your brand identity?
Honestly, that didn't happen right away. In the first couple of years, like I was just kind of making things that I found interesting, and I don't know, it was just like shirts and streetwear, and like I think this is cool, so I'm gonna put it on a shirt. I think I really started developing and honing in on a vision closer to later on in year, probably like 6, 7, 8, 9, around there. And I say that also, the first like 4 or 5 years of the brand, I was still going to school. Like it was kind of a side thing. So like I didn't focus really on it like full time. I did what I could, and literally like you're shipped out of a dorm room, like that whole story, literally like that's like a whole other segment in and of itself. But when I got out of school and like I was done with that and I was able to focus on full time, that's when I really kind of like stepped into, you know, better designs. I learned more, I tried different things, and I was just, you know, finding who I was and finding myself. And the brand really, like, it's been a natural progression of just discovering my voice and what I want to say and like really what I care about and what this is all for. I say that one of the things that I always ask is why, right? And I think now I really know my why, and I'm really proud of my why, and I'm really proud of like that question and the way we answer it. But yeah, if you asked me maybe 5, 6 years ago, I would probably give you a different answer. And you know, it was just more of, it was fun, and I was having like a good time making dope shit that I like. Now it's dope shit that I like with a purpose, and I want to say something, and I want to make sure that this is for like a reason and not just commerce, essentially, right? Which is, I think, what a lot of people participate in now, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, do what you want to do, but I think that's just like a whole different segment of streetwear, fast fashion, or whatever. I don't even know what to call it at that point. But yeah, I think at like the heart of what streetwear is, it's like, it's always been about something bigger and like have a purpose, at the very least. You know, it doesn't, you know, any contribution to the world that you're trying to like highlight an important subject that you care about or trying to make it a better place, any contribution in that sense is great. So like, doesn't matter how big or small, but I think it's like the intent of like wanting to do something for a bigger purpose is, in my opinion, what separates like real streetwear from just like commerce and like TikTok and like that stuff that's going on now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially like when you look at major big brands, the brands aren't the brands without the designer, and you always, you know, really know the designer. Like most major brands, you know, Virgil, you know who Virgil is, Tyler the Creator for Odd Future, you know, like everything like that. You really know the designer, and it's because of that. It's because of their intent behind it, why they're making it, and that personal aspect that really, I think, explodes the brand.
Yeah, again, I just think it's about intention. I'm not sitting on here like virtue signaling, like you gotta donate this, you gotta, nah, just, it's the intention. And I think what separates, like I was, you know, like the TikTok and the commerce and like just straight like money grab stuff, like I think the intention is very clear. Like, I just want to make money, like, right? And do you, great, right? But I think like for what I want to do, or for what I like to build, and like the things that I'm a fan of and the people that I looked up to, right? The Eric Brunettis of the world, the Spanto, right? The Kobe's, like, it, to me, there was an intention of like wanting to build something bigger and like a community, or just like in the face of scrutiny, like say like, nah, fuck that, I'm taking a stand right here, and like you can like it or not, this is my stand though. So yeah, I don't know, I have like a different respect for that kind of like way about going about things. You
were shipping out of the dorm room. It was a little off topic, but I kind of want to hear about that.
Yeah, no, I was, bro. I was shipping out of the dorm room in college. Like the bed is, well, at least
what did you go to college for?
I went to UCR. Why did I go to college? I tried to do business. I fucking failed my accounting class. That was horrible. Bro, I hate accounting. Like, I'm sorry to all accountants out there, bro. I will not do that. To this day, it's like the thorn in my life. But yeah, I failed an accounting class, and I was like, yeah, this probably is not gonna happen for me. So I changed my major to media and culture studies. And at first, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I'm honestly so glad that I did that, because media and cultural studies, it kind of like rubs shoulders with like philosophy classes. So I would take philosophy classes in college, and if there's one thing, like, this is my opinion on college, by the way, whether or not you like use the material, that like you probably won't in your life, right? A lot of times you will. If you go to school for medicine, you 100% will, so like please focus. But like, or like a lawyer, but all this other stuff, right? Like business and like maybe like media and culture studies, and if you're ever gonna directly like use this one theorem that you learned in like a stats class, right? Like we don't know, right? Like far and few between. But if there's one thing that I think like school teaches you, it's just how to critically think. It's how to think, and how to like solve a problem. So like I still even haven't picked up my degree. I honestly, technically, I think I haven't even graduated. I'm not even joking. I kid you not, I walked the stage and everything, but I got an email that like a year ago saying like, hey, you got 1 credit to finish. And I'm like, damn, I guess I didn't graduate. But whatever, I'm like getting off topic. But there's one thing that I've learned, it's school really taught me how to think and how to like solve a problem. So like for that, I'm eternally grateful for. I'll jump back to like how philosophy, and like I'm grateful that I did that I changed my major, because like as I've gotten older, the business stuff, like that's like ones and zeros, it's binary. I can go and like learn it on my own if I really want to, right? It's easier, I guess, when you're in an academic setting and you're getting up, like you have projects and homework and like doing things to like apply that directly as you learn it. But technically, yeah, you can learn this on your own if you really want to. There's countless resources, there's even free classes now. But I think like I'm grateful for me switching my major to media and cultural studies is for some of those philosophy classes, because that stuff, that's not ones and zeros. That's like opinion based, and it's just forcing you to like talk about things and confront issues and hear a different side and like hear a different opinion and things that might differ from yours. And now that I'm older, like I reflect on that time, and I think that's kind of why I am the way now, because I've took those kind of classes. And like, yeah, bro, we would sit in there and like literally not put anything on paper, and we would just talk. We would just talk about not how we feel, but like we would talk about like certain questions and topics that like really would make you think. And I'm almost having a realization as I'm talking to you. I could see how like that has like poured into like the graphics that I make or like the videos that I make and things like that. And I think it's just like, yeah, I mean, bro, it's one big ass just discussion that I'm trying to have. And that's crazy, bro. I'm like having this realization as I'm talking to you. But I think, yeah, I can trace some of that back to my curiosity, but also I guess decisions like that. Like you don't even realize it in the moment how much they're gonna impact you. But if I would have stayed in business, like
critical thinking is so important.
Yeah.
And I just love that you learned it through that.
Yeah, man. And like, I'm into that kind of stuff. I'm into like just topics and discussions like that are like almost like soft white underbelly things, right? Like things like that, like, oh, you're not supposed to talk about, or like you're not like, nah, like let's talk about it. These are industries that would crumble if undocumented labor didn't exist, right? Or like the Menace graphic that I did maybe 2 years ago was Immigrants Make America Great, right? Because at the time, like Donald Trump was just going crazy, calling us all kinds of things. And that was like my version of saying like, nah, fuck that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with what you're saying. So like, this is what I have to say, and this is my contribution to the discussion, right? Take it, leave it, agree with it or don't. I really don't care. Like, you can disagree with what I'm saying, but like, we can still have a beer, like, in my opinion. If you don't want to, that's great with me. I really don't care either. But that's really my approach to things. It's like, this is what I have to say, take it, leave it. Honestly irrelevant to me. Like, I just want to say it.
Yeah.
So,
are there any people, you know, that impacted the growth of your brand? You know, maybe designers, printers that you want to shout out, teachers, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm the sum of like a lot of things that a lot of people have taught me, and a lot of, you know, mentors or family, right? So yeah, first and foremost, like my mom and my dad, my 2 brothers, right? They're easily the most influential people in my life. For my brothers specifically, I feel like I'm a mix of both of them. I've gotten good traits from both of them. In terms of other designers and people in this space, yeah, Spanto, easily probably one of the biggest like influences, but also just, you know, a friend, somewhat of like kind of like a mentor. Like never really said it or anything, but I don't know, it just felt like big brother vibes. Like, oh, that's like Spanto's here, like I'm good, or like Spanto got me in, like I'm straight, right? So like I always think about that. Rest in peace to him. I think about him a lot. Definitely like wish he was still with us. Josh, like CLSC, Joshua Vitas, without him even realizing it. I don't, by the way, I'm not like, I don't want to say I'm like friends with him or anything. Don't really speak like that, but yeah, that was like a big influence for me coming up. And then just in general, like people that are kind of like people that I don't know at all, right? Like Virgil, I think Virgil is just story, and like his commitment to like voicing and bringing awareness to, you know, Black America and like the Black American experience, or just like the Black experience in general. To me, like I would look at that and I'd be like, damn, like I wish at the time, now it's a little bit differently, but at the time I would be like, damn, I wish we had somebody like that. You know, I wish we had somebody championing our people like that, and our people, I'm talking about Latinos. Like I wish somebody was doing that at that level and at that scale. And so it would be motivating to see that, because like it's it would just be beautiful, to be honest with you. Somebody that like would kick the door down and like hold it open for, he wasn't just like only black. No, he was very like anybody can come in through this door. So like I really appreciated that, and I really saw that as like a motivation and really just something like beautiful. And like Spanto was kind of the same way. Spanto was huge on like community building. And like for me, it wasn't, Born and Raised to me wasn't and isn't a brand like about clothes. Like to me, it's a community. It's like a representation of Los Angeles, right? So if you notice, like these people that influenced me are like Eric Brunetti too, right? I know he's a little, I don't even know him. So like, I don't know, bro. Like I don't know him at all, but I think like fucked and like what it stood for, and like, you know, like the controversies or like the political statements that they would make sometimes, like that stuff to me is like cool as hell. Like I appreciate people that like will like stand up for something and like say it. Just say it, like give it to me straight, right? Like I don't care about your shit, just give it to me straight. Like I'm very much that. I very much possess that attitude about life. I look at these people that are like, that have influenced me in that way, and that's, yeah, I don't know. I hope that answered that question right. I feel like
yeah, you covered it beautifully. Yeah. Side topic.
Yeah.
I think Virgil's story is very interesting. I just want to speak on that with you really quickly. Because he, you know, in retrospect, we learned that he was on a timer. And it just kind of dives into that topic of time, you know, that like, if you know you're on a timer, you're really going to put in the work, right? Yeah. But some people just think that they have an infinite amount of time, you know, and so they kind of space it out. But you know, when you look at his story, I mean, he knew that like he really had a timer, and it's kind of crazy to realize, you know, like that's why he poured so much into it, because like, you know, what are you gonna leave with?
Yeah, I mean, there's that way to look about it too, for sure, of like, let's pour everything that we got into this work. And there's also another way to look at it of like, let's not take all this so serious, right? And I think finding that balance, or like finding how you want to approach it and what's true to you, is like really important. I say that to say because one of my biggest influences in life, Kobe Bryant, right? We know how that ended up, right? Tragically passed away January 26, 2020. Never forget the day. Right? Yeah, and like for all we know, like he woke up that morning thinking like, yeah, I got to do something next week. It never happened. And like, this is almost like the question, right? Like that everybody wants to know, not just about that situation, but maybe just in life, or like, what is the answer to this? Like, was it all worth it? Or like, what people say? And I don't know. For me, like, I love my work and I love my job, but I definitely think as I've gotten older, I definitely want to grow and expand and be somebody super impactful in this space, and like build something that's like gonna last a long time before me, I mean after me, and all this, that, and the third. But I also never want to forget to just like enjoy my life, like as a human and as a partner, as a potential like husband one day, as a potential father one day. And that's also like equally as important. And I think like, because I've unfortunately been exposed to like death a lot over the last couple of years, it's really reminded me of like what's really important and what seems important, right? And I don't say that to say that like what we do in this career, like what we do in this world in terms of like what we create. It's particularly, I'm talking about what I do, and I'm speaking for myself. I'm not trying to diminish that at all. Like I understand the importance and the impact that has, right? But yeah, like I said, in my life, unfortunately, I've been exposed to like the death of people that have been close to me, whether it's, you know, whether it's Spanto, whether it's my uncles, whether it's friends, and whether it's an idol that I had, right? Like, and I'm getting chills as I talk about it, but yeah, like, I don't know, I have those reminders of like, don't forget to just enjoy it too, you know? And I think that's a big thing that people forget as you're building something, is that like, you're constantly moving and like looking for what's next. You forget that where you're at is actually what you were dreaming for maybe a year ago. And like, I've had to like rewire my mind a little bit to just enjoy this, and like sit down and talk, and like sit down and reflect on what you've built. Cause like, even as I talk about you right now, I'm like standing in like, what, maybe like 100 pieces of my clothing that, bro, at one point when I first started, like making cut and sew was like the dream. Like, bro, can you make a cut and sew jacket? And it was just like a normal hoodie, but it's still cut and sew. Like, we made it, like we made cut and sew. Now it's like, I'm working on like 60 pieces as we speak. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I agree with your point, right? Of like, he was on a timer. Virgil definitely was on a timer, and we see what he's built, right? I guess what I'm trying to say too is like, enjoying it is also important as well. And we just never know how much time we have, bro. We really just don't. None of this is guaranteed. You know, you could do all this and like some people still will never care, you know? Yeah. Like, you can try your hardest to like be the best at something, and like, bro, we like, me and James sit here every day and we debate on like Kobe, LeBron and Jordan every day. And like all those three people have like spent their entire careers like, I'm the best, like I want to be the best. Look, sometimes you could be the sweetest peach on the tree and some people just don't like peaches.
Yeah.
And that's a reality of life.
That's beautiful.
So again, this stuff, how I talk and how I think is just like an evolution of like philosophy classes and like being curious about life and just, I don't know, living through it, going through L's, taking losses, bro. Even as we speak, probably taking losses. Like we have a fire to put out yesterday because we have 1,000 shirts to ship and we just got delayed 4 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's like every day is like a new, it's like a new thing. But
yeah.
I love every aspect of it and I'm learning to like really fall in love with it again. And I think at a certain point, it definitely was like a business and like I was hungry. Like I want to do this, I want to be the biggest, blah, blah, blah. Lately, I've just been like, yeah, I would like to be the biggest and I'd like to be this, but like, I'm also happy and proud of what I've made. I think like we can objectively say like some of this is cool, at least.
Oh, dude, it's great.
So it's like, cool, I'm happy about
stuff.
that. Happy about that, I'm proud of it and like, dope, I'm gonna give it my best every single day. All I can do, whether you like it or not, I'm still keep doing it.
Absolutely.
So that's my attitude.
That's a beautiful way to put it. What was your first like big leap, crucial expansion of the brand that you took? Big risk. What was your first big risk that you took in Menace?
I mean, it's always a risk, like bringing people on the team, getting new office space, like elevating the office space, stuff like that, So I think about moments like that. For a lot of you guys that don't know, Menace is self-funded. I've never in my life taken on investors.
Wow.
I own 100% of the brand. So you talk about a risk, dude, like I take a risk every season, every collection. Like I put up the money, right? I put up the 6 figures, right? To like make stuff and like sell it and hopefully sell it. So yeah, every time we drop new clothes, it's a risk because I'm banking on the fact that maybe you'll like what I make or maybe you'll like what I have to say. Sometimes it's not so much about the aesthetics, but it's just about the emotion behind it. I can seem as calm, cool, and collected right now, but bro, James will tell you before drop days, I'm stressing sometimes and I'm just like, bro, I don't know, like I'm nervous, like I'm scared. And yeah, that's a feeling that to this day, probably sometimes I don't shake. And that's also kind of like sometimes the perfectionist in me. Like I want to have control over things. But again, I was just saying off camera, like lately I've just been having a lot more fun with things. But yeah, if I'm gonna be honest with you and we want to speak like reasonably, like yeah, every time I drop clothes, I'm taking a risk and it's a huge risk that I'm taking. Granted, there's like a measure of like, okay, I know it's gonna sell and I know it's gonna do good, but it's still like, bro, you never know. Like your website could shut down the moment you drop. Nobody could buy. Like, what are you gonna do then? That can happen, and that actually kind of has happened before in the past.
Being self-funded is pretty huge, right? And so
honestly, like I think a big like undertaking that we did was like moving the first time we moved offices, right?
Okay,
like,
there you go.
That was like a big jump. Like that was like a moment for us. We had a space in downtown. We moved out of downtown because downtown was just not like the best area and stuff, and got annoying after a while. I remember when we first did that was like a cool moment, and like I had moved out of my parents' garage at the time too, so I was like around the same time, so I was like, it was just like different for me at the time, so that was like a big risk. But yeah man, I would say this is self-funded, so every time we like produce new clothes, like it's a risk.
Yeah, that's great. Are there any crucial adjustments that you made to really level up the brand?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things, and like this is advice that I have for people starting out, one of the most important things is the team that you bring on. I think like nobody is an island, right? Like it takes a village to raise a child kind of mentality. Like you're not gonna do this alone. Like if you kind of choke yourself out of like building bridges and like having like a solid team around you, you're gonna like kill yourself trying to do everything. So I think yeah, one of the biggest steps that we've implemented over the years is like bringing on the team that we need, right? And some of the people aren't here anymore. Some of the people were actually like recently let go kind of thing. But yeah, it's like an evolution, and like I think you gotta hire slow and like fire quickly, and like you gotta make sure that the people that are with you are on the same mission as you, and like be unapologetic about it. At the end of the day, like one of my jobs as not only the designer but also creative director, especially of like our photo shoots and like video campaigns and things like that, is I have to be uncompromising in my vision. That wasn't always the case. Like as I'm growing up, like I'm still going through, like I'm still maturing, I'm still like, especially early on, like I was still a kid, like I was still an immature little kid, so like it wasn't always like that. But now that I'm older, I'm like 29 now, 30 next year, so yeah, I'm way more uncompromising in my vision, and I'm just way more cutthroat about what I need and what I want. And unfortunately, that's gonna rub some people the wrong way, but you're not going to get anywhere trying to be liked by everybody, and you're not going to get anywhere trying to worry about how people are going to take your vision and like how you're willing to execute that. So like remember that, please, because if there's some advice that I wish I could give the younger version of myself, it definitely would be to just be a little bit more uncompromising, to be a little bit more decisive in what you need and what you want for this brand, right? With respect to people, always. Respect should be at the forefront of every decision that you make. What are some of the, to answer the question, what are some of the steps to elevate the brand? It's definitely like bringing on the right people. The right people can make you or break you, and you're not gonna do this alone. And I've been fortunate enough to know some really great people, right? Some people that come to mind right now as I speak, and to know some pretty shitty people, for lack of better terms. And you know, it just is what it is. That's gonna happen. That's part of life. That's part of this game that we play. Fortunate enough for me and like what we do here, it's very intimate. I think like a lot of these ideas that I present to the world directly like speak to me. So I'm always gonna be able to design and make these clothes and like print these shirts and say what I have to say because it's me. It's true to me. But yeah, like at a certain point, it becomes also like you can't do it alone either. You know, like you can't manage 60 garments in production at one time in 5-6 different factories by yourself, because you know, like, especially if you work internationally, because those factories, it's 4 p.m. here, 7 a.m. over there. So where you're gonna work until 3 a.m. every single day, it's not gonna happen. So yeah, you gotta have the right team and the right people by your side. And yeah, I've been fortunate enough to, again, like I said, great people. So
amazing.
And I look at James, my right hand man. So
James is the guy.
Yeah, shout out James.
Shout out James for sure.
Yeah, literally, like right now as we speak, like a lot of the stuff that we do now wouldn't be possible without James.
Amazing.
So yeah, I'm very blessed that I got somebody as determined and like unwavering in his support as James, and loyal, and like, yeah, I'll always have his back for that.
That's so important. So. What is one of your first drops that really blew up the brand?
The one, we had a couple drops probably before this one, but the one that like I really remember, we're like, oh shit, we're at a different level now, is the Menace Corporation release, right? With Sheck Wes as the model. I remember that one. That was like a good time. But I mean, leading up to that, a couple of the drops had already done like amazingly well. But I remember that one being the one that was like, whoa, shit, this is like a different beast that we're dealing with now. And it was just fun. And I think like the clothes was just cool. It was dope. It was a lot of cut and sew, a little bit of graphic t-shirts, right? But it was just a really good drop. And like they took probably one of my favorite photos of the brand with Sheck, and it was him wearing the paisley denim button up. And it just looks sick, bro. Like the contrast of his skin and like the garment and like the shadows. Like I remember editing that photo a bit after, you know, Cops had sent it over, and Ileana Cops, she's a photographer that took that photo. It was just dope, man. But yeah, I think that drop did really good. The one after that I remember that people to this day probably still reference for the brand was the Motherland release too. And this is what I talk about earlier in our conversation. I was saying how I've like found my voice and like really found my direction as time has progressed. Cause like if you look at the Menace Corporation collection, at the time, I had honed it in a little bit more about like what we wanna say. And it was like, we wanna make cool garments based on certain themes. And like around that time, it was like different themes every time. Now we're definitely like, no, this is our theme. This is what we wanna say overall. And like everything is gonna be kind of centered around that. And like, and I think the Motherland collection to me was like a very good representation of like what it is exactly that I've always wanted to say. And I think like even from the beginning of the brand, like some of my very early graphics were super like pro Latino and like pro like us and like putting on for us. And like I remember we used to have this one hat, like my first ever hat I think was like, we had something that said like Por Vida, and then like we did this shirt with a paletero man. A paletero man is basically just like an ice cream man with an ice cream cart that walks around the neighborhood and sells ice cream to people. And yeah, I made a shirt. It was a one color graphic, but under the picture of the paletero man it said like unsung hero. And to me that was just like me saying like, yeah, this is like the community figure in our life that like you know, but you don't really know, but you've seen him all the time, and like you got his back and he got yours. He'll take care of you if you're hungry and you don't have enough, like $1 or $2, he'll probably give you one anyways, right? And like, yeah, I think for me it's like, yeah, this is like the glue of our community and like the unsung hero of our community. So I think like that thinking was always there, and like I've always, you know, it's just, I think I've just really honed it in like a little bit later on when I had the skills and when I had the resources to like really do what I want to do and like really say what I want to say and like make garments garments that are directly tied and influenced by my culture and my family and, you know, my Latino heritage. And yeah, like, so the Motherland collection was that for me. It was like me stepping into that. And when you look at the pieces, it's undeniably, you know what it's inspired by. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. But the Sheck Wes one was for sure the first one.
Was Sheck Wes your first big celebrity that you had shot? Or who was like a big celebrity? Like, who was your first kind of, maybe not even in a photo shoot, but you saw them wearing your clothes and it was like, whoa, this is crazy.
I remember this. It was Kelahni, actually. Interesting too, like, I remember that day. I remember when all that happened. She was just wearing my stuff a lot. And then they invited me to her apartment. I met her, like, dropped off some clothes. And then, like, literally a week later, she was at the college performing for us at, like, a homecoming dance or something like that. And I remember seeing her and I was like, hey, what up? And she was like, I kind of know you, kind of don't. Like, it was funny. Yeah. But no, she was the nicest person ever. She was barely blowing up too at the time, like 50K followers, right? Adjusted for inflation, I don't know how much they were worth. Those 50K and Instagram are worth now, but she was probably the first like big celebrity. And then it just kind of kept going over that. I remember DeMarcus Cousins from the Sacramento Kings. And then there was a picture with Kanye in it and like one of his homies was wearing the brand. I remember that. It's not even a celebrity, but like, you know what I mean? Like just the fact that it was around him, like that was crazy. This was pre all the Kanye stuff, right? Years ago.
Still a genius, creative genius.
And then, but yeah, man, I've had so many people on our brand deck. We have a whole page for, so a brand deck, if you don't know what this is, a brand deck is basically a document that we make for the brand where we talk about kind of like the stuff we've made, you know, production or like, you know, just pop-ups or productions we've done, videos, what our ethos is, like what we represent, what we want to represent. So maybe like, you know, social figures and like revenue figures and stuff like that. Basically, you use this document, send it to other corporations or brands whenever you want to do a collab or something like that. They'll look at it, evaluate it, see if you're a proper fit. Yes, no, that's what a brand deck is. In our brand deck, I'm only saying this so like I'm trying to like put you onto something that maybe you do or you don't have for your brand. And I'm talking to whoever's the viewer is. But yeah, in our brand deck, we have a page just dedicated to like all the notable celebrities and co-signs and people that we've shot to campaigns. And yeah, bro, that it's like we've gotten to the point where like the squares, because we used to just put all the pictures, but now they're like damn near you can't even see the people because it's so small and like we have such a long list. Yeah, dude, that list is like Travis, YG, Billie Eilish, Bad Bunny, bunch of like Latino Mexican artists right now, like Aleman, Natanael Cano, or Natanael, Peso Pluma, Gabito Ballesteros, Grupo Frontera, like, right, I don't know if you know who these people are, but yeah, I'll take it back to like, yeah, we've had Young Thug, Migos, YG, like I just said, Tyga wears it a lot. We just had 4 bats the other day. Absol actually, he wore it yesterday on a video. Yeah, bro, I don't even know. At this point, I don't even know. Yeah. It's been so many people.
Did these all, like, how many of them came naturally and what did you learn, you know, from getting these people in your clothes, seeing them in your clothes? What was kind of like the takeaway from those experiences and building on that? And
yeah, I mean, one of my best memories probably with the brand, to be honest with you, is the whole Migos run when they were wearing Menace. This was like, it just like lined up perfectly. It was crazy. Like I think Offset still follows the brand to this day, actually. Yeah. Offset's like cousin or assistant was like, yo, we fuck with the shit. Like the guys are about to go on tour. This is before Bad and Bougie dropped. And I was like, yeah, I got you, bro. Like I just put a box together and I was like, give it to them. Like honestly, I used to like rappers and artists and stuff, I used to give them stuff and like they would just put it onto their, so like Gunna would wear Menace like crazy back then. And this was at the time when Gunna was like really, nobody really knew who he was. But yeah, I knew who Young Thug was. I would kind of listen to like the whole YSL camps like music and I had heard about Gunna and like they even at one point was like, you want to give anything to Gunna or just Thug? And I was like, nah, give some stuff to Gunna. So like yeah, Gunna would wear the stuff like crazy and then he blew up and like well yeah, he's already been in our stuff like and he's still to, you know, like maybe not to this day but still even after he was blowing up like would still wear it. So like yeah, it's just like organically like I think about like I don't know, man, you can't like be, this is a big thing in this industry is like the superficiality about it, right? And like what can you do for me and like do I want to give you free clothes? Like bro, like I don't know, literally everybody that walks in here that I just want, like say I want you to have a hat, right? Like even probably before you guys leave, I'm gonna ask you guys like, do you guys wear hats? Like, and it's not because it's like yeah, go be a walking billboard. It's just like I just want people to have this stuff because I'm proud of it. I know you're gonna wear it and I understand that like not everybody is like in the mood sometimes to like spend it, and so giving it away sometimes is probably like the best strategy to just get it like seen, right? I don't have to do that at all anymore. Like luckily, like I'm at this point now where people are familiar with the brand. But yeah, before like I said, right? Like, do you want to give Thug some stuff, or do you want to give Gunna some stuff, or just Thug? I'd be like, nah, just give it to everybody on the camp. Because like for me, it's like it's just simple traditions even at home. Like if I go get food and I come back home and I'm not bringing food for other people, like you're gonna look at me fucking crazy. Like at least my family will, or like the people around and be like, why are you doing this? So to me, it's kind of like the same manners. It's like, and we did this even with Yachty maybe a couple weeks ago, the Concrete Boys, right? I was pulling up because Yachty liked the jacket or something, or like one of his guys liked the jacket and they're like, yo, would you want to give anything here? I was like, yeah, I'm down, like let me pull up. But I asked, I was like, who else is there? Because like I'm not gonna pull up in there and be like, nah, only he can get this jacket and y'all can't. Fuck, bro, it was like 6 people, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was like, fuck, like I don't know if I want to give all, but it's just like the manners in me of like, I'm just gonna, you know what, like I'm not gonna make anybody feel singled out or like left out, so everybody's gonna get something. So I really take this like one for all or like all for none approach, and I think it's like, bro, it's just paid off without even me like realizing it, you know. And I think it kind of resonates with the brand, and even like with stylists and stuff too, of like I work with a lot of stylists now, and sometimes they have like big artists, right? Like A-listers, bro, like oh shit, like make anything happen for this person, right? And then sometimes they have people that are just on the come up, but they're equally as important to them. If not, to be honest with you, sometimes with stylists, these like on the come up people are even more important than the A-listers. Because I think like with that, like it really shows like who's willing to take a risk and who's down. And I think about like, I'm gonna kind of go out like a little bit off topic here, but I'm not sure if you're familiar with who Luxury Law is, or La Roche and Zendaya. Probably not. I don't expect you to. This is like high fashion, right? Okay. But yeah, La Roche is like a super successful, super famous stylist, and he styles Zendaya. We all know who Zendaya is. Yeah. Easily one of the most iconic figures of our time. She had the whole Mugler, like the look, right? The robot suit. So yeah, in his interviews, he talks about how when Zendaya was first coming up as an actress, nobody would lend him clothes. Like none of the fashion houses would lend him and her clothes. Like whether it be like the Valentinos, right? Or like, don't quote me on all of these names. I don't know exactly who, but like nobody would lend her clothes because she was just like an unknown actress at the time. Now all those brands are like begging her to wear the clothes. And La Roche makes it a point to say, no, you said no to us when we needed it. And now that you need us, I'm saying no to you. And I think that approach, like, it just applies in life, and it's not this like hold grudges or anything like that. It's just like, yeah, bro, when people need, like with clothes in particular, right? Like what does it hurt you to just like lend out this garment to somebody that, sure, they're not the biggest and they're on the come up, but bro, like everybody starts like that. I talk about Gunna. Gunna was taking stuff from the box, right? When he was on the come up, the box was, yeah, it was mainly for like Thug, but like anybody else that wants it, take it. Now we know exactly who Gunna is. Gunna is free, and like, you know what I mean? Like he's doing his thing. So I took that same approach, and like it started with like when Migos and like that whole Migos thing, it was just like his cousin was like, I like this stuff, like I can help you get it on the guys, like do you mind if I take something? I'm like, bro, take whatever you want, just like give it to them too, and anybody else that wants it. And yeah, bro, they dropped, so to tie all this back, they dropped Bad and Bougie. They're on a crazy press run because it's that song. We know what Bad and Bougie is, right? Went crazy. They're in like all that press run. If you look back on it, like all the Breakfast Club interviews and all the radio interviews, they're wearing Menace. Really? Yeah. Oh wow. A lot of the time they're wearing Menace. Yeah. And it's because of that, because like they weren't at the time like as known. This was pre that song, right? They're still pretty known if you're into like the scene in hip hop, but the mainstream mass market, definitely not who they were. And yeah, I would pull up and anybody, bro. I remember like talking to Takeoff when they had a photo shoot and I pulled up, and they're kind too. They're just dope like individuals, like, oh, what up? Like we fuck with your shit. And like, yo, can I Takeoff would be like, can I take it? And I'm like, what? Yeah, bro. Like, of course, take it. And it'd be dope, you know? Like, so I think that has just helped. Like, to answer the first question, it's just been organic, bro. Yeah. It's just been like, I want, you know, you want to wear it, dope, let's do it, let's make it happen. If we can, we're gonna make it happen. If we can't, like, it's just not gonna work. And yeah, I mean, this, I guess traditionally, some people, especially in fashion, might tell you like, nah, you can't just like lend your clothes out to everybody. I completely understand that too, but also I try to make the best effort to like make things happen for people, especially like, yeah, I don't know, I think it's thanks for the acknowledgement and like thanks for thinking of us kind of thing. Like the least I can do is like try to help make something happen. Like let's get it done. Yeah. So yeah, it's just been a very organic approach. We've never paid anybody to wear the stuff. I've never, you know, like the campaigns and things like that, like that's different. Obviously those are like campaigns and things.
Yeah.
But even that's like been mad organic. Like Sheck like was just a fan of the brand and like would DM all the time. Oh, Jeezy, same thing. Would like wear the brand all the time. Kuko, I mean, Omar was in here literally yesterday. We were just talking about like that shoot that we did with him, right? Who else? Chicharito and like Ricky Puig. Like, well, I mean, that's different. That's like the MLS and like, see, so that's what I mean. Like that's
all over though.
Yeah, that's like a different approach. I can't be like, yeah, Chicharito's my homie or anything, but yeah, like the Galaxy set that up, the MLS set that up, and got to talk to him. That was really cool. We have a bunch of stuff lined up with them later on, so I'm excited. But you know, like it's just been a very organic approach to like this whole thing.
Yeah, I want to get into that, but real quick, have you ever done any wholesale, like going out to stores, supplying stores, anything of that nature?
I've tried it, never really had like success. I think I've just not been consistent with it, and I go back on like having the right team, right, like doing things properly with the right people in the right place. And I just think we were never really consistent with it. So like we've tried it here and there, but it's never anything that we've like super focused on. I know there's like stores in Japan that are interested in our stuff, which is really dope. I think like that's a market that I would want to tap into at some point. But I think right now what I really want to do and a goal of mine over the next 2 years is like to open my own store and have like a retail location. So I'm more focused on that. I have tried wholesale, but I don't know, it just wasn't for us, or we didn't do it right, or I don't want to say it didn't work or anything, because I don't feel like it was a failure at all. I think it was a success, but yeah, I don't know, consistency. And it's just hard too, man. Like being on a calendar, you're designing for like a year or two in advance. And like, I don't know, that's a very hard and like a disciplined pursuit and approach. And yeah, we never really mastered it. And I think now we're like way better at it. And like, I mean, again, a lot of these samples, none of them have came out, and they're gonna come out over the next year. So yeah, we're obviously a lot better now, but I think I'm more focused on, and what I want to do more is open my own store. Yeah.
I'm sure you've been through the pop-up gauntlet. So what was like maybe your first couple pop-ups like, and how did that kind of influence you?
The first one we ever did was the Beverly Hills Gum Range pop-up. That was for our Beverly Hills Gum Range hoodie. I think that was like a popular hoodie, like especially in the 2018, 2019, 2020, like that era of like streetwear.
Right here?
Yeah, it's that one right there. Oh. Easily probably like my most famous graphic. That was like our box logo at a time. Like we could draw hundreds, bro. Just boom, gone. So that was a fun time. I haven't done it in a bit. I'm gonna bring it back. I focus on a little bit, just a different approach to the cut and sew stuff, but I'm definitely gonna bring it back, and I'm excited for that because people have been asking for it. But yeah, the first pop-up was the Beverly Hills Gun Range hoodie, and we literally built out like a gun range, right? Had like a bunch of like prop guns on a wall. We had like a makeshift like gun range with like BB guns, and this was in the middle of Beverly Hills. So like, that was a cool pop-up. It was great, man. Like, and this was years ago, like what, 6 years ago probably. So it was good. It did great for us. It taught me a lot because we got a lot done like the day of, and it was just like a logistical challenge and nightmare. And pop-ups never get easier, man. Like the whole logistics of it is really hard. But I think what people do now, and probably what I'm gonna do for our next pop-up, is just hire a company that does like the build outs. And so I don't really have to worry about all that. It's a lot more expensive, which is why I think like in the past we were more conscious about it and didn't do it. But I think like the headache of like building things out on your own, it's fun though, don't get me wrong, like it's fun, it's part of the process. But if you're, I don't know, I want to focus a little bit more on the creativity and like set aside the budget to just make it happen, right? And like we'll focus on the creative and the experience and all that part of things. But yeah, the first one was that. The second one was a pop-up with the homie Parker, Absent. The brand's not well, actually he just brought it back yesterday. Yeah, we did that one. That one was dope, man. We had a line literally longer than Supreme that day. Damn. Around like the block. It was crazy. And this was in the corner of Fairfax and Melrose. So prime, like, and again, same thing like 5 years ago, maybe. I don't even know, 4 years ago. Yeah, the fact that we had that long ass line and all day it was packed and we sold out of the collection, like, that was great. That was a good time. And then if you want to count like ComplexCon, or we've done like we had a party last year to celebrate the decade, and that was dope. We had like 1,000 people come out and party with us, and that was a sick day. Honestly, that was probably like one of the best days of my life that year. Cause it was just fun, man. I was celebrating 10 years of Menace. All my, friends, family, like wasn't public, but like we made it public 30 minutes before the start time because I just wanted to focus on like people that I knew coming. And yeah, like 1,000 people came out, and it was dope. Party with like all my friends.
That's dope, yeah. How important do you think they are to brand depth?
I think it's super important because like nothing replaces the tangible feeling. And to be honest with you, I think like maybe even you guys had this reaction to seeing the clothes in person. It's different than when you see it online. And I think like that's what ComplexCon actually taught us the first time that we did it. So I'm really appreciative of that opportunity that they gave me to showcase there, because that ComplexCon that year, I think, what year was it? I don't remember what year it was. It might have been the pandemic year, the 2019. It was one of those years, but that one taught me like your stuff will do good in retail, because that day, literally, bro, like we had so many people ask us to buy the clothes that we weren't selling because it was just samples and we were showing them there, like to showcase what the brand was about. We were focused on like 3 other products that were like specific for ComplexCon, but so many people wanted the stuff, and I made so many connections and, you know, just people that I know even to this day, just off of like, yo, this is crazy. Like I've never seen this. And that day, like that weekend shifted my mind on like, you should probably open a retail store because your stuff will do good. And I think, yeah, like you guys walking in here, seeing this stuff like firsthand, seeing the leather, right? Feeling the duck canvas that I have right there on that, like it's just a different feeling. And you could see like, oh, that's why this is a $500 jacket. That's why that hoodie costs this. That's why that jacket costs that. So I think, to answer your question of does it add depth, for sure. I think if you do it correctly, like it leaves a lasting impression, and you invite people into your world. I think a lot of what community building is just like inviting people into that world and like giving them merchandise or giving them, you know, clothes that say I belong to this world. And that's really what they're supporting. It's not necessarily too much. Sometimes it is about the aesthetics and like how this looks, but for I think a majority of people, they're just buying what you sell because of what you represent and how they want to signal to other people, I agree with this, basically, or like I like this and I want to be a part of this, and I'm saying it proudly. So yeah, I don't know, I think about that. It's like, why are you wearing Half Evil? Like, you know, why are you guys wearing Half Evil? Do you guys fuck with the brand? I like the brand. I love George. I love Sam. So dope. You know what I mean? Like you guys, yeah, you're like proudly proclaiming like I fuck with this brand.
For sure.
I think that's what a lot of, you know, this is.
Yeah. How important is it for you to always tie your Latino culture back into your brand?
Yeah, super important, to be honest with you. I think like earlier in the conversation, I said how the progression of like finding our voice and finding kind of like what we want to say. I think that aspect for me in streetwear has like always been there. I know earlier we talked about like the hats and like the Paletero Man shirt that I made and other like little activations and things that like I've done or incorporated into the brand like early on, like literally from like day one, right? But now that I have more of the resources and I have the ability to like really make like true, honestly, like true fashion, true streetwear pieces, I think it's, I don't know, it's just like really important to me to tell this story and tie it back because it's just so personal to me. And my life has been shaped by my parents' sacrifice and my community. I mean, I grew up in Huntington Park, right? It's like literally the biggest Mexican, I think, hub in all of like LA County. So I've always, my entire life, I've been surrounded by my Latino culture and my people. And if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I think like there's just a point in time where I felt like Latinos in fashion like just didn't get the representation or like the respect that I feel like we deserve. And I don't know, I wanted to make a change. And I talk about how like Virgil used to always champion the Black story or like the Black American story. And I always used to be in such awe about that because literally some of my friends would tell you, like I used to be like, man, I wish we had somebody that like would do that for us too, because I can't think of a figure in this space that has like champions us in that way. And like, not in an exclusionary way either. Like I don't believe in like us versus you or like it's all about us. Like, nah, like, you know, I think we're all like a people. We all deserve the representation. We all deserve to be like champion. People deserve to feel proud of like where they're from and see themselves on the big screen, on the little screen, or see themselves in the clothes that they make, or see themselves on the runway or on the castings, whatever it is, right? I think like we all deserve to be like represented. So for me, it's like big to like represent Latinos and represent my Latino-ness because yeah, I think for a long time, I just felt like maybe I didn't see enough of that. And I think, man, there's this one actor, I forget his name, man. He was the voice of Ants. Fuck, if somebody can pull up his name, I forget. But he's big now, like he talks about it so much. And he just had like a long monologue speech at the Emmys about not being represented on the big screen for Latinos, and how like he used to believe, like as he was growing up, he used to believe how, yeah, maybe he didn't deserve to be, or like he would see himself like he would only be typecast as like a cholo or like a maid or like a janitor or something like that, right? So he says that as he was growing up, the only roles that he would see himself in would be these, not like diminishing roles, but like they're not like the star star was always the, you know, stereotypical like white American, that like the conventionally beautiful like superhero and things like that, right? So like he would believe that like, yeah, I'm always gonna play like second to like that. And now, which I'm really grateful for and really fortunate enough to like live in this time where like this is a reality, like now we do have Latino superheroes, now we do have black superheroes, right? Now we do have like black and brown like leading roles, right? And now there is like way more diversity and like way more inclusion in like what we do. So I think like for me with Menace, that's just my contribution to what we do. It's like I want to see myself in the clothes, but I also want to like other people to see themselves in this clothes too. And that's like a delicate balance also, because like at the same time, I don't want people to feel like excluded or feel like I'm like anti anything, because I'm not. So like we got to find that balance of like, yeah, I want to be inclusionary, but also not like almost, I don't know, like abrasive to like other things and other people. So like I'm finding that balance has like been really important to me. But yeah, I definitely lean into like the Latino story, and I always want to tell that, and I always want to make sure that's at the forefront of the decisions that I make. And like, I mean, bro, honestly, it's like a goal of mine. Like I want to do an interview one day, like completely in Spanish. And like I would do it right now, but you know, but like, yeah, I would just love that, because I think like, especially in streetwear, we don't really see that. We don't really get that. Like, I don't know, has Telemundo ever ran like a streetwear article or like a streetwear segment? I don't think that's like a case, right? But I just go back to, you asked me earlier, what are your dream collabs, right? And I said Dodgers, Lakers. And I just go back to being able to like share this joy with like my family is like a dream to a degree, because I do now, but you know, like at a bigger scale or like a much more grander scale or like even more frequently it would just be nice. And like, yeah, I'd love to go talk to my grandma and like have her understand what it is I do. And that's kind of why I want to do that interview like in Spanish, because it's not like for me, it's like I want to be able to go to my grandma or like my aunts, my uncles, my cousins who don't speak a lick of English and have this conversation with them and just show them what I do and like have them get to know my world a little bit more. So I think like that's where that thinking comes from, really. It's like I want to represent me, where I'm from, my culture, my people, tell the story of my parents, and like have other people that look like me that are going to go through the same things that I went through, especially in this space, and have them be able to see and know that like, yeah, somebody does care, and like this is important, and we do deserve to be at that table. And like, it's like, even, you know, like when I'm having these like big meetings with like corporations and stuff, like sometimes I'll be like the only Latino in the room. I'll be the only person that can relate to the stories. I'm the only person that can tell you what a carne asada smells like on a Sunday morning, right? About to watch the Dodgers play. I'm like one of the only people that can probably tell you, you know what I mean? Like, as I'm in those rooms. And like, to me, that's a very like important thing. It's like I look at you, bro, and like there's probably like things in Asian culture that only you, like in this room, you're the only one that knows that. You know what I mean? And I think that's like I don't want to say like that's like a very like, oh, like that's weird or anything, but like imagine you're in a corporate setting negotiating like 6-figure deals, right? And like you don't see anybody that looks like you, like that's a problem for me. And like I want to change that. So that's ultimately just like what my goal is. And yeah, I don't know. I think now I'm like really happy that I've been able to incorporate more like true fashion into it. But yeah, when I was starting out, I was like, man, I gotta go to downtown. I'm gonna go to the callejones, buy some blank hats, and I'm gonna embroider something on them, right? I'm gonna screen print something on them. Now it's just like our next collection is called the Blue Collar Collection. Nice. And like that takes all inspiration from like literally just my life. Like my dad's at work right now, probably like in Van Nuys, like removing asbestos, right? Has to drive every day for like an hour or two. Like I think about that and I'm just like, man, like what are you complaining about? Like, because you gotta get up and fucking design a shirt, like like just do it, you know? So it's super important, bro. I think the stories are important. And I'm just, I don't know, I'm proud of Latinos, and I think there's been a resurgence over the last like couple years of like the Latin pride, and it's just really dope to see. Because like, I don't know, bro, you asked me 6 years ago, I would probably be like, damn, I wonder when I'm gonna see that. And you know, we're kind of seeing it now, and it's just really cool. I think Willie Chavarria just won the CFDA. I was literally just about to bring him up. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty sick seeing it. He's kind of like the first really Latino representing luxury brand that I've seen that's like really putting out for the culture. I mean, he's not the first. I think like Hader Ackerman, right? I believe he's Venezuelan, or I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, like very like outwardly like in your face. Yeah, I can't. I think Rick Owens is literally Mexican too. Like I can't remember like a designer like just in your face, bro. Like, you're gonna take this or not, we don't give a fuck. Like, it's for us kind of thing. And yeah, I think Willie Chavarria actually inspired this shirt that we just did that was a what would blank do shirt, and you could airbrush in whatever you want. That originally started because I just wanted to make a shirt saying thank you to Willie, and saying, then the whole graphic was what would Willie do. And that we were gonna print that, bro. Literally, we're gonna print it and like give it away to people as like, I just want to give Willie Chavarria his roses because like I've never really seen this and it's dope. We changed it a bit because we just felt like the customizable aspect was just more fun for our customers. But yeah, bro, like that's a perfect example, right? So like I hope that like my impact in this is one day, you know, at that scale, and like we do something similar. And I, you know, to a degree, maybe we do in like our underground like world and the streetwear world. And yeah, I just want to expand on that and continue to like tell my story and like tell the Latino story and like tell people out there. Like there's probably people out here that only speak Spanish, and like I would just hope one day we can conduct something completely in Spanish so that I can communicate to them and like show them like, yeah, it's possible. You don't have to have all the answers. Todavía uso mi teléfono para tomar fotos, and like all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I still use my iPhone just to take pictures like that go up on the page. Like you don't gotta have all the answers. Like you don't gotta have all the right equipment. You just gotta have the determination. And like, yeah, I think about my homie Oscar who lives in Mexicali, and bro, he's like at all the events in LA, but he's always going back to Mexico to like, and I'm like, why don't you just live out here? He's like, bro, like, but like that's an example. He's like, I can't, like my mom, like stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, bro, this is why this is important, because like this dude like deserves this opportunity. He has the hunger and the drive, but like people probably see him and like, oh, Mexico, you first language Spanish, like I don't know if I'm gonna work with you. But it's like I know him and like, nah, give him a shot. Like he knows what he's doing. He has good ideas. So I think about stuff like that, bro, and like I just want to make an impact in any way that I can.
I would love to see a Menace Willie Chavarria collab. That'd be sick.
I would too.
One day, maybe, hey, one day.
I would too.
I think it could happen. That would be amazing. Who was your first collab? You know, was it a brand? Yeah. How did that go?
So my first collab was with Absent, Parker, right? Parker and Caleb is unathletic, the graphic designer. I don't know if you guys know who that is. But yeah, it was with Absent, and that did great. That was the pop-up that I was talking about, right? And then our first like major multi, like the national collab, like right, with an organization or a corporation. That one was with the LA Galaxy and the MLS. And that one was really dope too. I appreciated both, right? Because the one with Absent was more of like a niche, like streetwear. This is like true streetwear, like underground streetwear, especially at the time, because 6 years ago. And that one taught me a lot about like how a collab with another brand should probably go, right? And the mistakes we made, and it did well for us. It sold out so fast, and it just did really good for us. And I really liked the graphics too, especially for like the time and things. And then the collab with the Los Angeles Galaxy, that one taught me a lot about like the corporate structuring of collaborations and like negotiations and like contracts and things like that. And yeah, I'm grateful for both of those experiences, and I think like the LA Galaxy one definitely like opened a lot of doors, and we had more conversations like within that following time with different sports organizations. I'm not gonna,
nice.
I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, like that one, it just opened a lot of doors and a lot of opportunities for us. And I think on a national scale, or at least, statewide or whatever, I don't know, right, within California or within our city, it really just showed like what we're capable of doing, because yeah, all the garments were designed by me. The video was written by me. Like the photo shoot and the lookbook was directed and by me. So like I really just wanted to put my best foot forward and show like what I can do. And I think I did it on a scale and on a platform that was able to get in front of a lot of people, and it opened a lot of doors. And yeah, we have something next year coming out with not just the LA Galaxy, but with a lot people.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I'm gonna wait until that comes out officially. But, I'm really excited about that.
Exciting things.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Blue Beetle collab and how important that is to you personally.
Yeah. Damn, I can't believe I didn't even speak about that one. I think that one just went over my head because it happened so close. Okay. It happened so close to the Galaxy collab. Oh. But yeah, that one, it just came about like the Blue Beetle team hit us up. Well, first of all, I'm gonna shout out Brian, my homie Brian Jimenez. He's the one that was really like the dot connector in that, because he called me up literally one day and was like, yo, I got an opportunity for you. You're the first person I thought about. So like, do you want to do this, yes or no? Of course, I'm like, yeah, bro, like let's get it done. Like I'm down with whatever you gotta say. And yeah, it was the Blue Beetle, and like they had been familiar with the brand. They didn't know anybody, so they had contacted Brian, and they're like, yo, do you know anybody? Or I think, like, can you connect us? Or like, what's up? And yeah, he did. So that's how I went down. They just hit us up. We talked about it. They're like, we want to get this done. You literally, bro, like we were on like a 72-hour turnaround. Like we need the graphic done like now. I didn't have the graphic done. I didn't know anything, but me and Brian, we went to King Taco in Maywood, and we just got my laptop out and we started working at the King Taco. I love King Taco, by the way. So yeah, you'll catch me there. We just had it 2 days ago, actually. Or yesterday. Did we have it yesterday? Oh yeah, we had it yesterday. So yeah, we went to King Taco, me and Brian, and I just pulled my laptop out and we started working on the graphic. And the shirt that we made, the one with the big Blue Beetle like all over the place, and then the hoodie that we made with just like the logo and the Blue Beetle logo, we designed that like boom, right there. And then, you know, I got it printed and everything, and then boom, the rest is history. But it was dope, man. And it was just cool because like I was able to be a part of something that one was like on a national like level, and like people saw that collab. And like just the other day I went to a Clipper game and I was walking and I seen some kid wearing the shirt, and I was like, I didn't say anything, but I was just like, oh, cool shirt, bro, and I just walked away. But in my head I'm like
he didn't even know it was you?
Yeah, nah, he didn't.
Wow.
I don't expect him to. It's just like, it's just cool seeing that in public. And I know that one's one graphic that a lot of people were like, bro, this is like really cool. And that's really what I want to do with all my collaborations, and I think I've accomplished it so far, especially with like the LA Galaxy and the Blue Beetle one. It's just like making garments and making clothes that like genuinely I think they're cool. Like they're cool for like what this is and this consumer. And I think that's the balance that like you have to find, especially with these more like corporate collabs, is bring in your DNA, but like also don't forget about like who you're selling to, right? Like I don't expect an average Galaxy fan to like be rocking like a $500 leather paisley bomber jacket with some like sponge insulation to like make it pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't expect that too much, but I do expect them to just want to buy a t-shirt that says LA Galaxy, and that's it. So taking that approach and like remembering that is like super important, like especially with the Blue Beetle thing too. I'm not expecting that consumer to like really, to be honest with you, even know like what Menace is, because it's so like, it's still niche in my opinion, right? But we made a garment that still had the flavors of streetwear, but it was centered around the Blue Beetle, and like it looked dope because it had the all over, the crazy like big all over like vintage print that like is reminiscent of like vintage Marvel shirts and things like that. And that's really the goal. So I'm like really proud of those things because I'm still able to like inject my DNA into these projects, and like it's not untrue to me and it's not untrue to the source material. And I think we like do a really good job. That's why our collabs, just like the Blue Beetle one sold out like right away. Galaxy one sold out right away. Literally was the fastest selling thing in like, I think like league history or something like that.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know. They gave me like some unofficial like award like that. It was one of those. But yeah, the results kind of show that like you struck that balance like really well. So I'm excited. I talk about like what's going to come out next year. Like I'm really excited about that because it's a creative challenge for me. Honestly, that's all it is how to design this stuff that is still valuable in like their world and valuable in our world. So yeah.
For sure, the Blue Beetle shirt is super dope. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you.
How is it, you know, as these collabs grow, how is it navigating the input of other designers, you know, maybe people on the team? Do they give you full creative direction of it, or do you have to kind of field input from various sources?
For the Galaxy and the Blue Beetle one, they gave me full creative control. There was pretty much like no resistance of like, what do you want to do? And like, whatever you think is best, like we'll run with it. And that's also why I'm really proud of it, because it's like, I know I trust myself and I trust my gut, and I think this is going to do really good. And the results like show that they did. So yeah, I think in that instance, there was very little like pushback, maybe a couple notes here and there, right? So I was really able to just like design and like mock things up how I saw fit. From the Blue Beetle one, I immediately knew what the shirt was gonna look like. The moment they like called for it, I was like, oh, I know this is gonna be like a vintage oversized print t-shirt. I damn near even wanted to take it a step further and like wash it and like get a garment dye on it and like get some sun fading, you know what I mean? Like take it all the way there. But I was like, I think the average Blue Beetle Marvel consumer is probably gonna look at that and be like, why the hell am I gonna buy a destroyed shirt? You know what I mean? So like, that's when you have to dial it back and make those decisions. That's not always gonna be the case. I know in some instances there's heavy input and there's heavy like protocols you gotta follow. One of my best friends in this is Jordan Bentley. He runs the brand Hypeland that's crazy huge and big and like dwarf says here. But yeah, I've learned a lot from him, especially on like the licensing and corporate side of things. And there's definitely more chefs in the kitchen when you kind of work with different people. And yeah, I've even kind of had similar experiences here. There's stuff that we're working on now that like, you know, yeah, I'm working with other people and like there's other people on the project, and you just, you know, you just gotta balance that. It's like working with a team and understanding your role. And sometimes it is to be a little bit more like, let me just take the lead and like design this and mock it up, tech back it, give it to you like done. And sometimes it's more just like, let's just talk about it. Like, why are we doing this? Like, let's start there. So yeah, I think every process is unique. I don't think there's going to be one company or collab or anything that you work with that's this is how it's going to be all the time. So
I love that you brought up Jordan Bentley. I was gonna reference a video that I watched, but I wasn't sure I wanted to bring it up, but I was gonna reference a video I saw of Virgil and Jordan Bentley. It was like some, you know, growing your brand series, and it really tied back to your concept of having more of an overarching theme and then like bringing in your collaborations and kind of ideas under that theme, because that was one of like the big advices that he gave him. He was too spread out, and it was like, get your bigger theme and then put all these little pieces inside of it.
Me and Jordan have talked about that clip a lot. To be honest with you, that clip came out so long before like Jordan actually put it out. So it's like interesting to see, that it was, when it was put out, wasn't the time that it happened. It like had happened like way before. So talked about it already, and it's just like very interesting to see how that rang really true, you know. And I think clearly Virgil knows what he's talking about. Like clearly Virgil knew what he was talking about, and it's just like amazing to see how Jordan implemented that advice and also just had some conviction and made some decisions on his own, and they paid off. And I think back on like trusting your gut and trusting what you have to do and like leaning into it. And I remember being in China with Jordan in the backseat of a cab. We were like driving back from like factory visits and stuff, and this was before he made that change really, and like he was talking about how like this is what we're gonna do, and like this is the change we're gonna make, and like we're gonna focus on this, and I'm excited. He was very excited for it, and he's like, I think it's gonna do good, and I'm just excited, you know, like nervous but excited. And then like, yeah bro, like we see how time played on, and like the rest is history. And it's just very like literally I think about that conversation so much, because it's like a manifestation of somebody believing in their vision, not yet implementing it, but like knowing they're gonna do it, and then speaking it, and then doing exactly what they said they were gonna do, and then succeeding and reaping the benefits. And I always think about that, and it's probably one of my proudest moments with Jordan, because like, yeah, you did it. Like you did what you said you were gonna do, and it paid off amazingly, and it's very dope and very like cool, and like I'm really proud of him. And I love Jordan. So
yeah, damn, that's an incredible story. Holy cow. Any dream collabs? You were like kind of hinting at some stuff. What's like a big collab or something that you're looking forward to that you're trying to make happen, you're gonna make happen?
Anybody watching this, anybody at the Dodgers or the Lakers, let me know. Let me know ASAP. I would love to do Dodgers, Lakers, just cause like my dad and my family, like my cousins, all them, and just family in general, my dad's friends, they love baseball and they love basketball, they love sports, right? So being able to do those collabs and like showing them and knowing like, oh, you know what I'm talking about right now. Cause yeah, let's face it, like, especially in a Latino household, like fashion and streetwear is not, and just really like a creative pursuit is not the first thing that we think about, or that you're told like, yeah, go pursue that. So it's not that my parents don't know what I do now, especially they know and like they're aware, and they, very take an active approach to like want to learn and be curious. But yeah, like they probably don't know what Supreme is, or like a Born and Raised is, or anything like that. They're just like, yeah, that's cool, son, like dope jacket. And mind you, I'm almost 30, and like it's still very much like, yeah, that's cool, right? So being able to have one of those collabs, I think for me they're like dream collabs, because I know what it would mean to like my family and like to me. And like I even think about my grandma. Like I remember one time when Bad Bunny was wearing my stuff a lot, my grandma called me and she's like, oh, hola hijo, like I'm gonna speak in Spanish, but it's like, hola hijo, ahorita mira el comercial de Bad Bunny, y estoy muy orgulloso de ti. And like just telling me, basically what she was telling me is like, hi son, she called me son, like, hi son, I just saw the commercial with Bad Bunny and I'm like super proud of you. Wow. So, just like things like that, was like, I always think about that moment. Like that's a moment I'm always gonna remember with my grandma, because that's why I'm really grateful for it. And I'm really grateful for like Storm, which is Bad Bunny's stylist, for like helping me make that happen. It's because, him and like that moment, they were able to provide like a memory with my grandma that just, frankly speaking, like doesn't really like know what like streetwear is, or like what the fashion is or anything like that, but she just sees like her grandson and is like, yeah, I know this is a big deal for you, and I know who that is, and I know what Telemundo is, which is where I saw the commercial, and I know it's a big deal, so like, I'm gonna congratulate you. So I think like if I'm able to do that with like Dodgers and Lakers, I'll be able to take that story home and be like, look, like this is what I worked so hard for, and I know you guys know what this is. I know you remember El Kobe Bryant, right? Like I know you remember Shaquille O'Neal, like so yeah, like I hope you guys are proud of me. And just, yeah, I think that would be like a big accomplishment for me.
I think you're gonna make it happen, man. Dodgers, Lakers, hit them up.
Please.
What's your next big goal in life? What is your next big step that you want to take?
Damn, do I want to give the introspective response or just a logical, practical response? I guess I'll do both. I'll do one and one. I think like an introspective kind of like goal and something more intimate is probably just to like but like rediscover the joy in like the little things and like rediscover the joy in like what we do. I talk about like how we've adopted a mentality here over the last couple months of just like having more fun again. I think like this is a delicate balance, and I think this happens a lot probably in the creative scene that not a lot of people talk about, but yeah, there comes a point where like what you do becomes a business, and like the decisions that you make do impact you financially, and like that can just kind of take the fun out of some of this sometimes. And I think like for a long time, yeah, I'm very grateful for like the money we've made and the thousands of garments that we've sold over the years, right? I will forever be grateful for that. But also like as I've over the last couple months like just have had more fun and just like learned to like let go and let God kind of mentality, it's just been cool too, like, and I'm happy with the outcome, and like it has had like pretty much no financial impact to us, and it's just been like, bro, like maybe this is how you kind of should have approached things for a long time, is just like find that joy. So I think, yeah, that's like a big like introspective goal for me, is just like rediscovering that like fun in what we do, because ultimately like that's why you started and like that's what you're doing. And I think we're doing a great job at it. And like I think I said this earlier off camera, like we've honed the skills so much that like even me just having fun, like I'm still producing at a high level, like I'm still like having fun, and I'm still really proud of the garments that we're making, like to the point where like I'm head to toe in Menace right now, right? And yeah, so I think I'm like headed in the right direction to do that, and I'm like, I'm really, I don't know, I'm just happy about it, and like I think like I feel a lot lighter, and I don't feel like I'm, you know, like just these business decisions that I had to make probably before and how I would approach that now, it's just very much like this feels right, and like I'm not gonna second guess it, like let's just do it. And I'm happy about like what we've done. I think like the stuff we've done this year arguably is probably some of our best stuff ever, so clearly something's working. And I think more of like a logical kind of like career goal for us is definitely like I want to like get a store like soon, probably over the next like 2 years. And then I want to expand the team a little bit. And I just want to get us a little bit more on calendar, because right now I already have the next collection done. It's probably like another 40 pieces. I have the title, the rollout, everything in my mind already visually set out. But I want to have the one after that already done. And I have like ideas. So like I'm on the mood boarding kind of stage, right? So I have those ideas. But yeah, I think like focusing on expanding the team and focusing on like maybe opening a store and like doing more community activations, that kind of stuff is definitely like a huge goal for me. And always, I don't know, like I think if you asked me before, like that goal would have looked like a financial goal. And right now I think finances is literally probably, that's the thing that I'm like least worried about, but I'm not concerned about, if that makes sense. Like yeah, obviously I want to make sure, I would like to have more money or like have a little bit more financial freedom or things like that. But like, I don't know, I'm just so locked in, and I'm so like, I believe in our stuff so much, and I'm really proud of the things we're making, that it's just not like at the forefront of my mind. So it's more about like, for me, store team and just like honing our skills like even more, because the stuff we're making is so good. I'm so proud of it. And yeah, I think that's all I really want for myself.
Yeah, because stores, you know, that's like it's definitely probably not the biggest financial gain, you know, but it's way more cultural and like significant, I think, personally at least.
It could be, I mean, it could be a financial gain too. I mean, I have friends that have stores and it does great for them. But I think for me, it's definitely more of the like community and like that angle of it for me. And I think it's also because like there's this like spot that's like a block away from where I live, from my apartment, and I'm just like, bro, this is the perfect location. Like I could.
You got it picked out already.
Yeah, hell yeah. I know exactly where it's at, but you know, we'll see if we can make that happen. So that's like a big goal for me right now.
Nice. I think to wrap it up, you know, what are some words of advice that you would give to upcoming designers or people just starting out their brand on how they can grow or be better?
I would say a lot. I think the big thing that I talk about or I think about is probably like know your why, understand like what it is you're doing this for, and just be true to that. Like if you are just in this game because you want to just make some fucking money and like you want to make some product that sells, go ahead. Like dude, go. Do your thing, great, make your money, right? But just be honest with that. Don't like masquerade it as like, we got this like big mission and like I care about this, and it's like, okay, but never really done anything to like show that or put your money where your mouth is. So like, how much do you really care? You know what I mean? Just like stand on what you're really trying to do. I think that's a big thing for me. And know your why. That's a big thing. Know your why. If you are doing this for, I don't want to say the right reasons, because what you believe are the right and wrong, that's not up to me. But I think if you're doing this for a reason that you believe in, it's going to show in the stuff you make. It's going to show in the products and the stories you tell. It's just gonna like permeate everything that you do. So I think it's really important to like know your why. I think another big advice that I would want to give anybody that does this is to try not to compare yourself to what other people are doing. And I bring this up because it's so easy to do in streetwear and fashion. It's extreme. Like as you watch this, you might have some comparisons to yourself or like to what you're building, right? And I would only hope that they're positive, but being in those shoes one day, I know that sometimes those thoughts were negative. Sometimes they were like, damn, I wish I had that, or like, damn, like how did he, or like how did they do this, and like why, or like why not me, right? And if I could tell myself that, if I could tell my younger version of myself some advice, it would be that like everybody's journey is different, right? Just do the work, be proactive, and like learn on your own, and you won't fail if you just do that. If you just keep your head down, focus on yourself, clap for the next person, and like wait your turn, and making sure that you're active in your pursuit and like active in like learning about what you want to do, you're gonna win. So I bring that up because, man, I know so many of my friends and so many people in this space that they don't talk about this enough, I think, and I wish maybe sometimes it was a bigger topic. And I wish, just speaking of like in Latino households, I wish just therapy or like voicing or like just the emotional aspect of things was just way more important. But I think like what a lot of people suffer from in this space is this like comparison, is this idea of like, damn, like it's not happening for me, like I must be doing something wrong, or like I'm not where I want to be because I suck, or like I'm not where I want to be because I've just taken the wrong choices. And sometimes there's just like a lot of factors that are completely out of your control that aren't the reasons that you think it are. You know what I mean? Like your stuff it's not that people didn't like your stuff and that's why it didn't sell out. It probably is just maybe you just posted it at the wrong time, or like maybe there's like 10 other drops today, or maybe you need to promote it more. And I think it's really easy in this game to look at what's going on elsewhere and like make a fault or like a bad comparison to yourself. And I don't know, I just hope that like that's not the case as you kind of like watch me or like watch other things, and like there are people out there that like want to empower you and want to see you do good, and like hope that you can take something from this. So like I think if my lasting message or like my lasting impact in this game is just to like use my lessons to like illuminate your way, then I feel like that's great. That's like I've contributed in a positive way to something, and that's all I really want to do at the end of the day. So that's another piece of advice. There's more, bro, and I can just continue to go. I think like an important one, and I'll probably just end it with this one, is like just have fun with what you're doing, and like just make sure that if you're having fun and you're doing things with a purpose and you're trying to do them to the highest ability, right, to the best of your abilities, that's all you can really ask for in this world, and things will eventually work out. And even as I'm on my journey, like I don't have things figured out, right? Like I'm 11 years in and there's still a lot of things that I want to accomplish. I'm still waiting on my turn. I'm still waiting on a collab. I wonder sometimes why some brands or some corporations don't hit me up to do certain things, right? I don't know, but like all I can do is like, it's cool, like dope, like that other person got the part or the role or the job or whatever. I'm gonna continue to do me. I'm gonna continue to make a garment, and I just hope one day the world sees this, or like I hope one day like this makes a bigger impact. And that's not to diminish what I've built and like how big it is right now, but yeah, like if you're always wanting more, you don't enjoy what you have right now. And I think lately in my life, I've just been learning to enjoy what I have and like being happy with it. And you know, it is what I have. So like, I'm proud of it, proud as hell about it, to be honest with you.
Amazing, man.
So,
well, I just want to thank you for, taking the time out of your day to speak with us. I think you absolutely killed it. It was incredible.
Thank you.
You gave some really important information, and I think whoever's watching this can learn a lot just about building a brand, about philosophy, mentality, and just your approach to life and taking on challenges. I mean, you have an incredible story, and I just really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.